Hey, do you want to know a secret? You can get a great overlanding vehicle for not a lot of money. That's right. Despite what you may see on Instagram, you do not need to spend $100,000, $50,000, or even $20,000 to buy a vehicle capable of taking you deep into the backcountry on some amazing overland adventures. And in this video, I'm going to prove that to you by sharing with you 5 different vehicles that you can buy right now for under $10,000. So let's jump into it. Now, it's important to note, at the time I'm recording this video, the car market is absolutely insane. Prices have skyrocketed for new and used vehicles in the midst of production issues, chip shortages, and other factors. And this is especially true when it comes to off-roady 4x4 vehicles. And so, unlike some other lists out there, this list is going to reflect current market values, meaning these are vehicles that even with the insane price increases of used cars, you can still get today for under $10,000. And the first one is... What better way to kick off this list than with a true legend in the automotive industry, the Jeep Cherokee XJ. The Cherokee XJ was an SUV before that was even a term and is often credited with jump-starting that entire segment. The XJ was produced between 1984 and 2001, so a really, really long time. And that means that they're both plentiful and cheap. And even with the car market going absolutely crazy over the last few years, you can still find a great example of an XJ for well under $10,000, leaving you with extra money to modify it as you see fit. And there is a lot to like here, with a nearly unkillable 4-liter straight-six engine, solid axles, a low-range transfer case, tons of aftermarket support. It makes the XJ a fantastic budget overland option. And I know this because I actually owned one of these. It was an '89 model year that I bought for $600, spent about $200 fixing it up, and proceeded to load it up with 3 friends, all of our camping gear for the better part of a week, 3 bicycles on the hitch in the back. I mean, this thing was well overloaded if I'm being completely honest. And we drove it from Seattle to Nevada and back, abusing it the whole way, and it took all the punishment we could dish out and kept coming back for more. Sure, it leaked more oil than the Deepwater Horizon, but it got us there without incident, and it was really, really impressive for a $600 vehicle. You know, in my mind, really probably the only drawbacks to the Cherokee XJ are space and comfort. In terms of space, the Cherokee is actually a shockingly small vehicle by modern standards. So if you're looking to kit it out with a ton of gear for like longer term expeditions, or you've got, a family, or you got dogs you want to bring with you, you may start to run into some space constraints pretty quick. And then in terms of comfort, look, they're simple vehicles, nothing wrong with that, but it does mean that if you're going to be putting in a lot of highway miles, you're not going to get a lot of creature comforts. It's pretty basic. So you just have to know that going in. But all things considered, it makes for a phenomenal budget overland rig. As prices on the used market have skyrocketed for off-road focused 4x4 vehicles, the Nissan Xterra has kind of been forgotten about. And I don't think that that will be the case for that much longer, because this is a fantastic platform for an overland rig that you can get for well under $10,000. Again, there is a lot to like with these. They were originally marketed with the slogan, "Everything you need and nothing you don't," and that's pretty fitting of the Nissan Xterra. It offers body-on-frame construction with underpinnings borrowed from the Nissan Frontier, Nissan's ubiquitous and award-winning VQ engine, a low-range transfer case, and even an available locking rear diff from the factory. Nissan designed the Xterra as a competitor for the Toyota 4Runner, but unlike the Toyota 4Runner, which really can't be found for under $10,000 unless there's something seriously wrong with it or it is a total basket case, the same is not true with the Xterra, and you can find a really nice example for under $10,000 if you're willing to look around a little bit. And I know when it comes to styling, that's always subjective, but I've always felt like the Xterra is a really cool, good-looking vehicle. It's just funky enough that it stands out, but it's got that kind of classic boxy off-roady design that so many people like. And then, I mean, it's got the integrated first aid kit into the rear hatch, and I don't know. I just think that's cool. Okay, moving on. Let's talk Toyota. Yes, Toyota. If I had compiled this list just 2 or 3 years ago, it would be flush with Toyotas. There's a reason that 4Runners and Tacomas and Land Cruisers are so wildly popular with the off-road and overland community, and that is because, put simply, they are legendary for their reliability, their toughness, and their ability to tackle difficult terrain. However, the odds of getting any sort of decent 4Runner or Tacoma or Land Cruiser for under $10,000 here in 2022 as I'm filming this video, it's just really going to be difficult to find. I mean, just as an example, the LX470 that I have, I bought about 3 years ago and paid well under $10,000 for what was a really nice one-owner example, albeit with some higher mileage. Not that that really matters too much on Land Cruisers. But at any rate, now that same truck is worth somewhere probably around $16,000, maybe as much as $18,000. So just in 3 short years, trying to find a Land Cruiser or a 4Runner or a Tacoma under $10,000, it's just become prohibitively difficult. But I was hell-bent on including a Toyota on this list, and the good news is there is still one out there that is pretty easy to find under $10,000, and it checks a lot of boxes. And that would be the first generation Toyota Sequoia. That's right, Toyota's least loved 4x4 vehicle in its lineup. It's kind of the oatmeal raisin cookie of the lineup, if you will. Maybe the vegetarian pizza that no one wants to touch at your office party. Sorry, Sequoia. But in my opinion at least, that reputation isn't all that fair to the Toyota Sequoia. After all, this is still a body-on-frame SUV. It's got a low-range transfer case, and it's powered by one of the greatest engines the automotive industry has ever produced. I'm talking about the 2UZ FE 4.7-liter V8. This engine is unstoppable. Like, literally, it will go a million miles. Plus, it's got a ton of room. It's actually a larger vehicle than the Toyota Land Cruiser. And so that means if you have a large family, or you've got a ton of gear, you want to be able to haul a lot of things with you, or maybe you want to set up a sleeping platform and actually sleep in the back, the Sequoia has got enough room to allow you to do that. And so all of this begs the question, why does the Toyota Sequoia get so much hate? And I can't really figure it out. I mean, sure, it's not the off-road beast that the 4Runner is. It's not as well built as a Land Cruiser is. It has that independent rear suspension versus the solid axle on the other two. And the interior quality is maybe not up to par, certainly not up to par with a Land Cruiser. But at less than half the cost of a Land Cruiser, it's still a Toyota 4x4. And that's got to count for something, right? Next up, go ahead and put on the kettle, pour yourself a cup of tea, because things are about to get a little bit British. Oh, God. Where's my coffee? Let's talk Land Rover, specifically the LR3. Introduced in 2004, this was Land Rover's replacement for the aging Discovery 2, a vehicle that had such a hideous reputation for unreliability that, at least in the North American market, Land Rover decided to badge the Discovery 3 as the LR3, hoping to distance it as much as possible from its predecessor, which was about as unreliable as a blind seeing eye dog. And while the LR3 may not be a Toyota in terms of reliability, if you are willing to look past some potential reliability woes, you will find an amazing overland vehicle platform for well under $10,000. The LR3 is comfortably the most comfortable vehicle on this list to spend time in. On pavement, you get a quiet interior, a supple ride, plenty of creature comforts, and a lot of space to bring people and gear along with you on your overland adventure. And when the pavement turns to dirt, you get a vehicle capable of tackling some surprisingly difficult terrain. There's an air suspension system, which will fail, that gives you up to 9.5 inches of ground clearance, and you get Landrover's incredible terrain response system, which is probably still the best off-road traction control system in the automotive industry. In fact, upon the LR3's release, when Richard Hammond of Top Gear fame reviewed the LR3, he exclaimed that it was the greatest 4x4 vehicle of all time. High praise, indeed. All right, last up on this list of 5 great overland vehicles for under $10,000 is the Nissan Pathfinder. And the Nissan Pathfinder has been around for a long, long time. In fact, there have been 5 different generations, but the one that I think is a great value right now, as far as a budget overland vehicle under $10,000, is the 3rd generation Nissan Pathfinder, produced between 2005 and 2012. And the reason that I say this is that the 3rd generation Nissan Pathfinder really hits a sweet spot between being new enough that it is going to be relatively reliable with some modern conveniences, but at the same time it marks a return to the body-on-frame design of the 1st generation Pathfinder. It also includes a low-range transfer case. I believe you could even get a locking rear differential from the factory as an option on some models, but if I'm wrong on that, someone just drop a note in the comments. I'm sure you'll correct me. But as I mentioned with the Xterra before, Nissan offers some fantastic alternatives to the Toyota 4Runner or even the Toyota Tacoma if you wanted to look at a Nissan Frontier without having to pay that Toyota tax. And since we're looking at vehicles under $10,000, that makes Nissan a great brand to look at. So there you have it. 5 great overland vehicles that you can buy today in this crazy market for under $10,000. Let me know how you think I did down in the comments below. I'm sure that I missed some great options, so be sure to list them below for myself and for others who might be watching this video. And if you enjoyed this video, then you'll definitely want to check out this one, where I explain 5 traits that just about every great overland vehicle has in common. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.